5 years had passed since humanity's exile from the Federation. The Terran colonial empire now stretched across 23 star systems and included 15 different species. What had started as a desperate escape had become the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. The change was visible everywhere. Imperial ships moved freely through space with technology that made Federation vessels look primitive. The Empire's cities sparkled on dozens of worlds. Trade routes connected distant colonies in a network of prosperity. And refugees from across the galaxy continued to arrive, seeking the freedom that only the Empire could offer. The Federation was in crisis. High Counselor Vexter stood before the council chamber, his crystal body flickering with worry. Around him, the representatives of the other species argued loudly. For the first time in centuries, the Federation was falling apart. 3 more colonies have declared independence this month, reported the Narration representative. Only want to join the Empire instead of us? Our trade routes are collapsing, added the Cogitant delegate. Human merchants used to carry 60% of our goods. Without them, our economy is failing. The Empire's technology is decades ahead of ours, whispered the Sylvan speaker. How did the humans advance so quickly? Vexter had no answers. The Federation had expected humanity to scatter and die in the Dark Zone. Instead, they had built something stronger than the Federation itself. Worse, they were proving that the galaxy didn't need the old ways of doing things. The crisis came to a head when a distress signal reached both the Federation and the Empire. A Nereiden trade convoy was under attack by pirates in the neutral zone between the two powers. The merchant ship Waverider was carrying medical supplies to a plague-stricken world. Without help, thousands would die. The Federation Navy was 3 days away. Their nearest ships were slow and poorly equipped for combat. The convoy would be destroyed long before help arrived, but Captain Jake Morrison was patrolling the border in his upgraded ship, the Frontier. His sensors picked up the distress call within minutes. Morrison didn't hesitate. Pirates were pirates, regardless of politics. All ships, this is Captain Morrison, he broadcast to his patrol squadron. We have civilians under attack. Move to intercept. The Imperial ships jumped to hyperspace using their advanced drive technology. They covered the distance to the convoy in less than an hour. What they found was a massacre in progress. 6 pirate vessels were tearing apart the Nereiden ships with illegal weapons. Morrison's squadron struck like lightning. The new Imperial warships moved faster than anything the pirates had ever seen. Their energy weapons sliced through pirate hulls like paper. Within minutes, 4 pirate ships were destroyed, and the remaining 2 were fleeing in panic. Commander Tidewalker, captain of the Waverider, couldn't believe what he was seeing. Imperial ships were rescuing Federation citizens. The same humans who had been exiled were risking their lives to save people who had rejected them. Imperial ships. This is Commander Tidewalker, he broadcast. We owe you our lives. How can we repay this debt? Morrison's reply surprised him. No debt needed, Commander. We didn't do this for politics. We did it because it was right. The rescue was broadcast across the galaxy. Federation citizens watched in amazement as human ships saved people their own government couldn't protect. The Empire's actions sparked protests on Federation worlds. Citizens demanded to know why their leaders had exiled the one species that actually helped others. The political consequences were immediate. The Nereiden government officially thanked the Empire for saving their people. Several Nereiden colonies began requesting permission to join the Empire. Other Federation species started questioning whether the exile had been a mistake. But the real test was yet to come. Deep in the Dark Zone, Imperial scientists made a terrifying discovery. Dr. Amy Parker was studying ancient ruins on a dead world. When her team uncovered something that chilled her blood, it was a massive weapon platform, millions of years old but still functional. The device was slowly charging up, preparing to fire at the nearest inhabited world. That world was a Federation colony called Haven Prime, home to 12 million beings. Amy's readings showed the weapon would fire in less than a week. The energy beam would destroy everything on the planet's surface. Millions would die, and there was nothing the Federation could do to stop it. President Rodriguez called an emergency meeting of the Imperial Council. The debate was fierce. Some argued that the Federation's fate was not their problem. Others pointed out that 12 million innocent people didn't deserve to die for their leaders. Mistakes. Admiral Karen Foster had the final word. We have the power to stop this. If we don't act, we're no better than the people who exiled us. The Imperial Navy mobilized its entire fleet. Every available ship jumped to the weapon platform's location. What they found was a structure the size of a small moon, covered in ancient technology that hummed with deadly power. But they weren't alone. Federation ships had also arrived, though much later and with older technology. For the first time since, the exile, human, and Federation forces worked together. Admiral Foster coordinated the joint operation from her flagship. The plan was desperate but simple. Imperial ships would use their advanced weapons to weaken the platform's defenses. Federation vessels would provide covering fire while human engineers tried to shut down the weapon. The battle was fierce. Ancient platform defended itself with energy beams that could destroy ships instantly. Several Federation vessels were lost in the first assault. Imperial ships fared better with their superior technology, but even they took heavy damage. Captain Morrison led the most dangerous part of the mission. His ship had to get close enough to the platform for engineers to board it. As the frontier approached the massive structure, defense systems locked onto them with killing intent. All Imperial ships, this is Morrison, he broadcast to the fleet. If we don't make it, tell everyone back home that we died free. Morrison's ship broke through the platform's defenses and attached to its hull. Human engineers raced against time to find the weapons control systems. Behind them, the Joint Fleet fought desperately to keep the defenses busy. With seconds to spare, Chief Engineer Tony Martinez found the shutdown controls. But the ancient system required a manual override that would trap whoever activated it. Inside the exploding platform, Morrison made the choice without hesitation. Tony, get your people back to the ship. I'll handle this. Captain, you'll die if you stay, Tony protested. 12 million people will die if I don't, Morrison replied. Get out of here. That's an order. As the Frontier pulled away with the engineering team, Morrison stayed behind to complete the shutdown. His final transmission echoed across both fleets. Tell the Empire, this is what we stand for. We protect the innocent, even when they're not our own. The weapon platform exploded in a brilliant flash. Captain Jake Morrison, hero of the Empire, was gone. The Federation Council was forced to acknowledge what everyone already knew. Humanity had become everything the Federation claimed to be, but never was. They protected the weak. They helped those in need. They stood up for what was right, regardless of the cost. Across Federation space, citizens demanded change. The rigid old ways were crumbling. Some worlds declared independence to join the Empire. Others demanded their governments adopt imperial principles of freedom and equality. President Rodriguez addressed the galaxy from New Terra. We never wanted to be your enemies, she said to the Federation leaders. We wanted to be your equals. You chose to exile us instead of accept us. That was your mistake, not ours. She continued, the galaxy is big enough for all of us. The Empire will continue to welcome anyone seeking freedom. It will continue to explore new worlds and protect those who cannot protect themselves. We will continue to prove that different species can work together as equals. The final scene showed the construction yards of New Terra, where new exploration fleets were taking shape. These ships would venture even deeper into the unknown, seeking new worlds and new species to welcome into the growing Empire. The Federation had thought exile would destroy humanity. Instead, it had freed them to become something greater. Galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere among the stars, Captain Jake Morrison's sacrifice had ensured that the Empire would always remember what it truly meant to be human. 3 months had passed since Jake Morrison walked out of the Galactic Council station. Ryan Davis sat in the command center of Luna Base, watching dozens of screens that showed what was happening across the galaxy. The news was not good for it. The alien species, who had taken humans for granted, Ryan sipped his coffee and shook his head as he read the latest reports. The Zephyrian Empire had not stopped attacking the Altarians. In fact, they had grown bolder. without human peacekeepers to worry about. The Zephyrians had taken over 12 more Altarian colonies. Millions of peaceful farmers were now dead or homeless. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Kate Brown, pointing at her screen. "The Altarian government is sending out emergency calls for help. They are offering half their planet's wealth to anyone who will save them." Ryan looked at the desperate message. The Altarian leader was crying as she begged for help. Her people were dying while the Galactic Council held meeting after meeting but did nothing useful. "Any council response?" Ryan asked. "They sent us strongly. Worded letter to the Zephyrians," Kate replied. Zephyrian sent back a message that was just laughing sounds. Ryan was not surprised. The council had always been good at writing letters and making speeches. It had never been good at actually stopping bad things from happening. It had always been the human job. On another screen, Ryan could see the trade routes that humans used to protect. Pirates were attacking merchant ships every day now. The Kalos shipping lanes had become so dangerous that most traders would not use them anymore. 3 major trading companies had already gone out of business. Sir called Sergeant Mike Johnson from across the room. "The Helix Corporation is asking permission to hire human mercenaries. They are offering 10 times the normal rate." "Denied," Ryan said without thinking about it. "All human military personnel are forbidden from taking outside jobs. No exceptions." This was part of Protocol 7. No human could work for alien governments or companies anymore. Earth had to show the galaxy that they were serious about cutting all ties. Dr. Amanda Foster entered the command center carrying a thick folder of papers. She had been Earth's top expert on alien cultures before the withdrawal. Now she spent her time studying how the galaxy was falling apart without human help. "Ryan, you are not going to believe this," Amanda said, dropping the folder on his desk. "The Council tried to negotiate peace between the Hegemony and the Federation last week." "How did that go?" Ryan asked, though he could guess from Amanda's expression, it was a disaster. "They used the same approach we taught them 5 years ago, but they did it all wrong. Instead of finding common ground, they managed to make both sides angrier. The Federation ambassador actually challenged the Hegemony representative to single combat." Ryan laughed despite himself. "Single combat? Over a trade dispute?" "It gets worse," Amanda continued. "The council mediator tried to stop the fight by quoting human diplomatic theory. But he mixed up the concepts completely. He told both sides that the best solution was for the stronger party to take everything they wanted by force." "That is the opposite of what we taught them," Ryan said. "Exactly. Now the Federation and Hegemony are mobilizing their fleets. Council created a war while trying to prevent one." Ryan looked at the star map on the main screen. Red dots showed where conflicts were happening. 3 months ago, there had been 2 or 3 small problems. Now, there were over 30 active wars and disputes. The galaxy was burning, and the Council had no idea how to put out the fires. "Amanda, what is Earth's official response to all this chaos?" Ryan asked. Amanda smiled coldly. "President Carter released a statement yesterday. She said that Earth is focusing on its own colonies and people. She reminded everyone that humans spent 30 years solving other people's problems for free. Now it is time for others to learn how to solve their own problems." A communication alarm sounded. Brown looked at her screen and frowned. "Sir, we are getting an emergency transmission from the Council. They want to speak with Earth leadership immediately." "Put it through," Ryan said. The main screen showed Counselor Vexera looking very different from 3 months ago. Proud. Alien who had dismissed humans as servants now looked tired and worried. Behind him, Ryan could see other council members arguing loudly. "Commander Davis," Vexera said, trying to sound calm. "The Council requests immediate human assistance with several urgent situations." "The Council requests," Ryan repeated, "not demands." Vexera's blue skin turned a darker shade. "We are willing to discuss compensation for human services." Ryan almost laughed. 3 months ago, these aliens had acted like humans should be grateful for the chance to die for them. Now they were offering to pay. "What kind of compensation?" Ryan asked. "We can offer preferred trading status in recognition of human territorial claims in the Outer Rim." Ryan looked at Amanda, who shook her head. Those were things the Council had refused to give humans for decades. "I'm sorry, Counselor," Ryan said politely. "Earth is no longer involved in galactic affairs. We suggest you handle these problems yourselves." "You do not understand," Vexthera said, his calm mask starting to slip. "The galaxy is falling into chaos. Entire star systems are collapsing. Millions are dying." "Yes," Ryan agreed. "That is exactly what happens when conflicts are not managed properly." Perhaps the Council should have thought about that before treating humans like disposable servants. Vexthera's eyes went wide with anger. "This is blackmail. You're holding the galaxy hostage." Ryan's expression went cold. "No, Counselor. This is reality. For 30 years, humans cleaned up your messes because we believed in helping others. You convinced yourselves that we did it because we were naturally violent or because we enjoyed war. You never realized that we were making enormous sacrifices to keep peace." "The Council will not forget this betrayal," Vexthera threatened. "Good," Ryan said. "Remember it well. Remember that humans are not your servants. Remember that our help was a gift, not an obligation. And remember that gifts can be taken away." He cut the transmission before Vexthera could respond. Amanda whistled softly. "That felt good to watch." "It did," Ryan agreed. "But this is just the beginning. The galaxy is going to get much worse before the Council learns their lesson." Kate Brown looked up from her station. "Sir, I am reading massive fleet movements in the Centauri sector. It looks like the civil war there is spreading to neighboring systems." Ryan nodded grimly. Centauri had been fighting each other for centuries before humans arrived. Human peacekeepers had kept their war contained to one system. Without human oversight, the violence was spreading like a disease. "Any word from our colonies?" Ryan asked. "All human settlements report normal," Status Mike Johnson replied. "Our worlds are peaceful and prosperous. No conflicts, no problems." Ryan smiled. That was the real victory. While the galaxy tore itself apart, human colonies were thriving. Earth's people were finally putting themselves first, and it felt wonderful. 6 months after Jake Morrison walked away from the Galactic Council, the galaxy was falling apart faster than anyone had imagined. Marie Thompson sat in her new office on Earth, reading reports that would have been impossible to believe a year ago. As the former Earth ambassador to the Council, she understood better than most how badly the aliens had miscalculated. The latest news was almost funny if it was not so serious. The Council had tried to place economic sanctions on human colonies. They wanted to force Earth back into service by cutting off trade and resources. The plan had failed in the most embarrassing way possible. "Director Thompson," said her assistant, Captain Alex Stone, entering with a data pad. "The sanctions report is ready." Marie took the pad and smiled as she read. "Let me guess. The aliens hurt themselves more than us." "Much more," Alex confirmed. 17 Council worlds are experiencing medical emergencies because they cannot get human-made medicines. The Rigel system's entire computer network crashed because they do not know how to maintain the human-designed software. And 3 major space stations have lost life support because their engineers never learned how the human backup systems work. Marie shook her head. For decades, humans had shared their technology freely with the galaxy. They had trained alien engineers and doctors and scientists. But the aliens had become so dependent on human expertise that they never bothered to truly learn how things worked. "What about our colonies?" Marie asked. "Completely unaffected," Alex replied proudly. "We have been planning this withdrawal for years. Every human world is self-sufficient. Our technology, our medicine, our food production, everything works perfectly without any alien input." A communication alert sounded. Dr. Rebecca Martinez appeared on the wall screen from New Geneva Station. She looked tired, but satisfied. "Marie, you need to see the latest council session recording," Rebecca said. "They are completely losing control." The recording showed the council chamber in chaos. Alien representatives were shouting at each other in different languages. Some were demanding military action against Earth. Others were begging for human help. A few were trying to find ways to blame humans for problems that existed long before the withdrawal. "The best part," Rebecca continued, "is when Counselor Vexthera accused us of being selfish isolationists. I sent him a response with detailed records of every human sacrifice over the past 30 years. Marie had seen those records. The numbers were staggering. Humans had lost over 2 million soldiers fighting in alien wars. Earth had spent enough money to build 100 new colonies helping other species. Human scientists had given away discoveries that could have made Earth the richest world in the galaxy. How did the Council react to the evidence? Marie asked. Half of them claimed the numbers were lies, Rebecca said. The other half admitted the numbers were true, but said it was still our duty to help because we are naturally good at solving problems. Marie felt the familiar anger rising in her chest. Even when faced with proof of their selfishness, the aliens could not admit they had been wrong. They still believed humans existed to serve them. There is more, Rebecca continued. General Stone's Border Patrol report came in this morning. Alex stepped forward. We have detected 47 attempts by Council forces to enter human space in the past month. They are trying to kidnap our people and steal our technology. Any success? Marie asked. None, Alex said with satisfaction. Every attempt failed. Completely. Turns out that knowing how someone fights for 30 years gives you a big advantage when they become your enemy. Marie was not surprised. Humans had trained most of the galaxy's military forces. They knew every alien tactic, every weakness, every limitation. The Council's attempts to use force against Earth were like children trying to fight their own teachers. The Andromedans tried something especially stupid last week, Alex continued. They sent a stealth team to capture our research station near Jupiter. The team got lost because they could not read our navigation systems without human help. We found them floating in space 3 days later, asking for rescue. Marie laughed, despite the serious situation. Did we rescue them? We sent them home with a message, Alex replied. We told them that next time, we might not be so generous. The wall screen changed to show a news broadcast from the Council territories. The reporter was a Zephyrian, trying to explain why human colonies were thriving while Council worlds were collapsing. The humans have clearly been planning this betrayal for years, the reporter claimed. They pretended to help us, while secretly preparing to abandon us in our time of need. Marie turned off the broadcast in disgust. The aliens still did not understand what had happened. They thought this was a planned attack, instead of a natural response to decades of mistreatment. Director said Lieutenant Carol Wright from the communications station. President Carter wants to speak with you. President Carter appeared on screen from her office in Washington. She looked calm and confident, very different from the desperate alien leaders Marie had been watching. Marie, I just finished reading your analysis of the Council's attempts to force us back into service. I want your honest opinion. How long before they completely collapse? Marie thought carefully before answering. At the current rate, the Council government will fall within 6 months. Some individual species might survive, but their united authority is finished. The galaxy will break into dozens of small competing groups, and the human colonies. Growing stronger every day, Marie replied. Without the constant drain of helping others, we have been able to focus on our own development. Our technology is advancing faster than ever. Our people are happier and more prosperous. Our military is the strongest it has ever been. President Carter nodded. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. The Council sent another delegation yesterday, asking for negotiations. I told them we are not interested in talking until they show they have learned their lesson. What kind of lesson? Marie asked. They need to prove they can solve their own problems, Carter said firmly. They need to show they understand humans are equals, not servants. And they need to offer real compensation for 30 years of free service. After the call ended, Marie looked out the window at Earth's blue sky. The first time in decades, humanity was putting itself first. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson about taking others for granted. The aliens had always assumed humans would come running whenever there was trouble. They had never considered what would happen if humans simply said no and walked away. Now they were finding out. They did not like the answer. Marie smiled as she watched human ships launch toward the outer colonies. Each ship carried families, and scientists and engineers who were building a better future for humanity. No more dying for alien causes. No more sacrificing human dreams for alien problems. The galaxy could burn for all she cared. Humanity was finally free. 1 year had passed since humanity walked away from the Galactic Council. Paul Bennett stood on the observation deck of New Earth Station, watching human ships arrive from colonies across the galaxy. Each ship brought news of progress and prosperity. That would have been impossible under the old system. The transformation was remarkable. Without the constant burden of solving alien problems, humanity had poured all their energy into building their own civilization. New colonies were being established every month. Human technology was advancing at an incredible pace. Most importantly, human lives were no longer being wasted on alien wars. Director Bennett called Karen Wright, entering with a stack of data pads. The weekly reports from the outer colonies are ready. Paul took the reports and smiled as he read them. The mining. Colonies had discovered 3 new resource-rich systems. The research stations had made breakthroughs in faster-than-light travel. The agricultural worlds were producing enough food to feed twice their current population. Any problems? Paul asked. None, Karen replied cheerfully. Crime is at an all-time low. Economic growth is stronger than ever. Our military has not fought a single battle in 12 months because nobody dares attack human territory. Paul nodded with satisfaction. This was what humanity looked like when they focused on themselves instead of constantly helping others. They were proving that Earth could not only survive without the Council, but could thrive beyond anything they had achieved before. The communication system activated, showing Steve Morris on the main screen. The captain was patrolling the border between human space and what remained of Council territory. Director, you need to see this, Steve said, his voice carrying a mix of amusement and disbelief. The Council is sending another delegation. But this time is different. How different? Paul asked. They are not demanding or threatening anymore, Steve explained. The message I received was actually polite. They are asking permission to enter human space. They want to discuss terms for cooperation. Paul was surprised. For months, the Council had been sending angry demands and ultimatums. They had tried sanctions, military threats, and even attempted kidnapping. This was the first time they had actually asked for anything politely. Who is leading the delegation? Karen asked. That is the interesting part, Steve replied. It is not Counselor Vexera or any of the old leadership. The message came from someone called Counselor Jardy from Alteria. She says she is representing a reformed council that wants to make things right with humanity. Paul knew that name. The Alterians were the peaceful farmers who had been attacked by the Zephyrians a year ago. Their suffering had been the final event that pushed humanity to activate Protocol 7. What happened to the old council leadership? Paul asked. Steve grinned. From what I can gather, they were voted out of power, apparently when half the galaxy fell into chaos. The surviving species decided they needed new leaders who might actually be able to fix things. Karen pulled up her datapad and read from it. According to our intelligence reports, Vexera's government collapsed 3 months ago. The Centauri Federation broke apart completely. Several other major powers have fallen or are close to falling. The only stable regions left are the ones that never relied heavily on human help. Paul was not surprised. The species that had depended most on human assistance had suffered the most when that help disappeared. The proud aliens who had looked down on humans as servants were now begging for help from whoever would listen. Should we meet with this new delegation? Karen asked. Paul thought carefully. Part of him wanted to ignore the council completely and let them collapse. But another part was curious about what they might offer. If the aliens had really learned their lesson, maybe it was time to consider new terms. Set up a meeting, Paul decided. But make it clear that we are not interested in going back to the old relationship. They want human help, they need to. Prove they understand humans are equals, not servants. 3 days later, Paul sat in the conference room of Luna Station, waiting for the council delegation to arrive. With him were Jake Morrison, who had been promoted to Supreme Commander of Human Space Forces, and Amanda Foster, was now Earth's top expert on alien affairs. When the delegation entered, Paul was shocked by how different they looked. Gone were the proud, arrogant aliens who had dismissed humans as useful tools. These representatives looked tired, humble, desperate. Counselor Jardy was a small, gray-skinned Altarian who moved carefully, as if she was afraid of making a wrong step. Behind her were representatives from 6 other species, all looking nervous. Commander Morrison, Director Bennett, Dr. Foster, Jardy said, bowing deeply. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. We know we do not deserve your time after what the previous council did to humanity. Jake raised an eyebrow. This was definitely different from the old council's attitude. We have come to apologize, Jardy continued. For 30 years, humanity gave the galaxy peace, prosperity, and hope. In return, we treated you as servants instead of partners. We took your sacrifices for granted and never offered fair compensation for your help. She paused and looked directly at each human in the room. We were wrong, completely terribly wrong. And we are sorry. Paul had to admit he was impressed. This was the first time any council representative had ever apologized to humans for anything. Apologies are nice, Amanda said carefully. But what are you offering besides words, Jardy? Gestured to one of her assistants, who placed a large document on the table. We have drafted a new treaty, recognizes Earth as a fully equal partner in galactic affairs, provides fair compensation for any assistance humanity chooses to provide. It gives human colonies full independence and protection under galactic law. Jake picked up the document and read through it quickly. His eyebrows went higher with each page. This gives us everything we asked for over the past 30 years. And more, Jardy agreed. We also propose that any future conflicts requiring outside intervention must be approved by a joint human-alien committee. No more automatic assumptions that humans will handle every problem. Paul looked at his colleagues. This was far better than anything the old council had ever offered, but he was still suspicious. Why should we trust you? Paul asked bluntly. The previous council made promises too, and they broke every one. Urati's expression became even more serious, because we have learned what the galaxy looks like without humanity. In the past year, we have seen wars that could have been prevented, disasters that could have been avoided, and suffering that could have been stopped. We need human wisdom, human courage, and human compassion. But most importantly, we have learned that we need human friendship, not human servitude. She stood up and bowed again. We are not asking you to save us. We're asking you to work with us as equals to build a better galaxy for everyone. Jake looked at Paul, who nodded slowly. We'll consider your proposal, Paul said. But understand that humanity will never again be the galaxy's unpaid problem solver. If we decide to rejoin galactic affairs, it will be as partners, not servants. That is all we ask, Jardy replied with obvious relief as the delegation left. Paul looked out at the stars beyond Luna Station. Humanity had proven their worth by walking away. Now they had the choice to return on their own terms. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about taking good people for granted. And humanity had learned that sometimes the best way to show your value is to make others live without you. Whatever they decided, humans would never again be taken for granted.